Hey, everybody, welcome to this week's Fateless podcast episode. Joining me is some content creators in the Godforge scene, and we're going to be talking Alpha 2, the future of Godforge, some of the stuff that was broken in Alpha, heading into Alpha 3, some suggestions and feedback, and all that good stuff. So, first off, we've got a couple guests here with their first time on the channel. So, happy to have you guys joining. Let's start with you, Raven, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody and say a little bit about yourself and your channel and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so I'm RavenPyros. I make RavenPyros.com. Just trying to make a really good resource that's helpful for everybody playing Godforge. And yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with that. And, make videos from time to time as well. So,
Very nice. Awesome. And then tmib, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. So I'm an old school gamer, kind of got my start back in like the Commodore 64 days with text games and have come my way up through to where we are now. And this game has brought the fun back to gaming for me. So it was sort of a natural step to get into the content creation, just to be able to share some of the fun that I've had.
Okay, awesome. And then Ragewood, good to see you again. How you been?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Just grinding our way through Alpha 2, breaking things with a bunch of really great lads in the voice chat as well. Yeah, it's been good fun.
Awesome. Well, we can just start there. You want to let us know what the infinite scaling damage method break the game was for this iteration?
Cool. So, for those of you who have played Wave 1 or seen any of it, it was infinite shielding was like the thing, scaling your barrier to a point that it became unbreakable. Obviously, Fafnir changed a little bit, so between the guys in there, we sort of discovered that the duelist set two pieces bugged, and the duelist set reads something like reduces the damage from basic skills. And when acid is applied, it sort of removes the armor effect. And then when acid drops off, you get it back, but it sort of stacks on itself. So you get to a point where you don't take any damage because Fafnir's scaling was linked to his basic skill. So you'd only ever take damage from the core, and yeah, you would just scale it infinitely. Dracula was placing infinite bleeds, and then you had like a Heimdall with a Lady Shock passive, just hitting for trillions and then quadrillions, and like between the group of us, we broke the scoreboard. Like I think it was 1.4 quintillion or something like that was ended up scored by Janez. And then yeah, Fusion, Pancakes, Rogsley, Lako, all of them, we all just did our best to try and get on that leaderboard at the top.
Very nice. Well, now you're seeing the point of alpha iterations, so we can learn this stuff and kind of see. There's just no testing like getting the game in the hands of thousands of people who know what they're doing and can try to break things. So it's great to see that happening and gives us something to work on.
And that's the cool thing about the community, right? It's very much been like a hive mind sort of thing. So one person would find this thing, and once we realized you could get to a point where you can force it so you don't die, it's like, okay, well, what happens if you scale Fafnir to a point you stick a Green Knight passive on, so you reflect 15% of the damage back. And again, you just get these huge numbers. And yeah, it's been fun to see everyone coming together and interacting in that voice chat to do some testing.
Yeah,
and then a ton of fun.
thanks for that. Well then, I guess we can dive into kind of the meat of the discussion here and get into feedback and things that you like, dislike, or just things you'd like to kind of shout out here or ask questions or whatever. And Raven, I can bounce it to you. Did you have anything top of mind here from Alpha 2?
Okay, so this is a super simple question that I think I know the answer to, but do the colors behind the hero portraits mean anything, or are you just trying to find one that has a good contrast with the kind of hero design?
I think it's
Ooh.
more the latter. We did
Okay.
we did play around with lots of different ways to show colors and utilize that to our advantage. Like even some of the skill icons, you'll notice we try to kind of lean into their different elements and have a green or red or whatever. But yeah, I think it's mostly going to end up being what looks best. But we did consider that, like having it always kind of be there as the color for them. But yeah, good question.
Okay.
And
And
go ahead if you had anything else. Yeah, go ahead.
on the so right now, awakening is the main way that you actually modify your skills. Leveling up seems to have sort of a smaller pool of um, effects that were, will, reduce cooldown or increase chance to place effects. Is that the plan going forward, where leveling it will mainly increase what it's got, and then Awaken will be a way to, add additional effects to this abilities? Or do you think we'll see some where leveling up skills adds totally new abilities to skills?
Yeah, the leveling is probably, or like the increasing the level of the skill, like going from level 1, level 2, level 3. That will probably stick to things like just boosting the effect or the effect duration or the cooldown. And then we're actually considering things around Awakening, because right now the structure is like 1, 3, and 5 are gonna increase the viability of skills, and then 2 and 4 are gonna be other things like initiative and initial divinity and stuff like that. So we are talking as a team and playing around with different ways to do that. So I guess I would kind of like some feedback on that and how you guys feel about the Awakening system in general. I think, because I definitely play a lot of Godforge to try and relate to what that experience is like. And I think for me, I kind of feel like 1, 3, and 5 can be exciting, but 2 and 4 I kind of feel like are just a bridge. Like, okay, I'm getting some initiative. It doesn't really. So I'd be interested if you guys feel the same, and I guess I can toss it to you, tmib. What was the Awakening experience like for you?
So I want to start off by saying that I thought that keeping it simple made it really easy for players who hadn't come from another game, like Raid, for example, if I'm allowed to say that name. But you're absolutely right. Getting that level 2 Awakening after getting the second, third drop for your Lego is just like, oh, really? That's all I got? Oh, well, that's a little disappointing. Now, the 1, 3, and 5 was fantastic to get. I think that if you were to create a couple additional abilities that were like lesser than 1, 3, and 5 and tie them with a small increment of one of the stat increases, I think that would probably be a good way to make it so that it feels less, well, disappointing.
Okay, cool. And I know Ragewood, you probably had a bunch of Awaken 5s. So what was your experience like? I was able to, you have to let me know, I was able to get most legendaries to at least like Awaken 3. I did a lot of grinding, a lot of hero grinding. So and I did a few epics, like the ones I was going to use. But what was your experience, Ragewood?
So, I mean, I think for me, I was seed stuck, I think, for part of it. So, especially towards the end. So, I never pulled a Shamash in this wave. I pulled probably 80 to 90 legendaries, and not one of them was a Shamash. But I did get 12, 13 Heimdalls. Like, I had enough imprints that I could whack his imprint on everyone. So I didn't quite get everyone to 3. I only got 1 Zeus and things like that. But I do somewhat agree with the sentiment that, 1, 3, and 5 is exciting. 2 and 4 is not. In my brain, sort of, I'm thinking towards launch. If universal imprints were a thing, well, I wouldn't rush to use it on 2 and 4. I would save it to unlock 3, 5 when you get to it. Now, tmib was saying that perhaps you need to sort of take some abilities or take some power out of 1, 3, and 5 or things like that to make 2 and 4 more exciting. And I like that in a way. I suppose the issue comes with you don't want to make the core skill set itself not exciting enough that even the first copy is quite bad. So I think it's going to be a tough balancing act for you guys. For the large part, I was quite happy with. I think the only thing really, I think the initiative at 2 was like 15, which to me just doesn't feel like enough. I think even maybe just upping it a little bit would certainly go a long way to giving a bit more excitement.
Yeah. Well, and the hard part is like even if we made it 50 initiative, like even if it was really good, there's a difference between being really good and being like exciting. Whereas we can kind of produce more excitement with, oh wow, now Bastet also places defense down AoE. Oh wow, okay, like that's just always gonna feel better than giving like a raw stat. But it is something that's kind of tough. And another thing I'd like to get your guys' feedback on is something we've noticed is a struggle with the Awakening system is that it kind of closes the gap a little bit too much maybe between like rares and legendaries, because all of a sudden our rares are doing so much. Like when they have their base kit and a passive and an imprint that they can do, and then we also give them 3 augments to their skills, all of a sudden our rares are like basically what epics are in a game like Raid, and they just do so much. And so I wonder if it kind of closes the gap a little bit too much, but I'd like your guys' feedback on that. I can start with you first, tmib, this time.
So I don't actually think that it does that. So I like the fact that rares and epics actually have a use in this game. The biggest problem that I have with something like Raid is, you get that rare and it's like, oh, well, gee, it's useless to me. Having it be of a higher power scale than in another game makes it so that it has a continued use. It makes people who don't get the legendaries, like, let's face it, most of the people who got a lot of legendaries did overnight farming. A lot of the player base didn't understand the fact that they could leave the game running overnight to get legendaries. I don't know why, they just didn't think of it. So they had mostly rares. I personally didn't get my second legendary until 90 because I didn't overnight farm. Rares got me to 90, and that was fun. I loved the fact that I could try different comps and use these rares, and that they were valid to be used. So to kind of to dilute that and make them not quite as powerful as they are now, I really feel it's going to take something away from the experience, because not everybody's going to have the legendaries.
You should have gotten one on level 30, right? You should have had one. Oh, okay. I thought you said okay. Yeah, and I
didn't
think
really use them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think another to your overnight farming, I think a lot of people who are playing on mobile, maybe they can't use their phone overnight and have that tied up the whole night, so it gets a little bit tougher. So yeah, but good points for sure. And then Raven, do you have anything on that?
Yeah, I think I would tend to agree with tmib, because I don't think it quite bridges the gap, because you typically they're replacing level 1 buffs or debuffs, and their stats are still, based, quite a bit lower. And so it almost makes kind of a nice effect where you can, once they're fully awakened, they can still have their uses, but you've got to really put top tier gear on them if you're going to have them stand up towards the end. And so, and it adds there is still fun getting a rare for a longer period of time. Because you can, awaken them and get those extra effects. Now, I almost think that it maybe sort of does make epics in that boat, though, where, because a lot of them do have the level 2 skills, they become more or less the same as legendaries. There's not really a huge distinction there, other than maybe stats still, and skill design, but
Yep. It's a good point, and that's why we really wanted to have, a lot of these games, they'll have 2 tiers, like Raid will have defense break, and they'll have a small version like 30, and they'll have a big version that's like 60%. And we tried to have the 1, 2, and the 3 to give us a little bit more of a balanced lever. And then we kind of played around with like, what should be the gaps on these percentages? Like, should it be 40, 45, 50, or should it be 20, 40, 60? Should be like, we can always kind of like close them in or widen them out if we need to get more of a difference. And we were trying to make the tier 3s like very exclusive. Like, we want to be able to introduce like a fusion after the game comes out, or an event where it's like, oh, holy crap, this hero has 2 tier 3 debuffs. So we wanted an ability to kind of scale into that, and keep it pretty rare as of right now, or have bosses that we can give it to, that we want to be really difficult and stuff like that. So that is something that we're definitely going to use to go in that direction. But how about you, Ragewood? How'd you feel about the rarity scaling, and are rares too good, legendaries too weak, that type of stuff?
Yes. So I'm going to play maybe a bit of devil's advocate, but I do also feel like this partly, in that I do think maybe the rares are just a smidge on the strong side. I can't speak for everyone here or everyone that's played the alpha, but I know for me, I skipped epics for the large part. I could do an awful lot of this tower with just rares, and because they're, easy to get hold of. You can get them awakened 5. There's some really strong imprints as well, notably Isolde and Dagonet, although I think Dagonet was bugged for a period. But even so, I just jumped from rares to legendaries, essentially, when I unlocked them. I didn't really use the epics, so in that regard, I do think they are too strong, and I don't think you can make epics stronger, because then you get into the same boat as, well, no, I don't need the legendaries, and that's sort of taking away from the fun and excitement. So for me personally, I do think perhaps they need to be toned down just a little bit, but I'm also very aware that I might be in the minority, and for low spenders and free to play players, having good res is also vitally important. So it's a very fine balancing act for you guys at Fateless, and I certainly don't envy you.
I think some of that comes from just the tower experience itself, where you do start getting legendaries and epics at about the same time, and so then, you know, once you've got a few legendaries, it's like, well, I may as well skip the epics. Whereas if, you know, we got, say, the one that we get at 30 was like the only legendary we got till the end or something, we'd probably be trying to work with epics a lot more.
Yeah, it's where it's an isolated environment. You're right, and we're being fed energy so we can keep playing and test things. And yeah, you're right. It takes away a lot of that, or it accelerates the progression essentially, right? Which you're always going to get in this environment. And I think that's also part of the thing that, when I'm thinking about what is and isn't broken, it's like, well, it might seem really stupid now in this Fafnir fight, but what are the chances that we're all going to get Awakened 5 legendaries in, you know, 2-3 days? It's slim to none. So it's hard to say this is and isn't broken because of that isolated environment. But I do agree with you, Raven. If we weren't such accelerated, perhaps you would find more use in the epics. And, you know, maybe that's something that we have to wait until beta or even full launch before we can really sort of focus on, are res too strong? But I think right now they are.
Yeah, and I think my main thing on that was with the awakenings. I like that you still have awakenings, but I would have no problem with them scaling back their stats and stuff to make them harder to build, super powerful. But I think the awakenings does add a big layer of fun, where it's like, okay, now, you know, this Raritan, you know, even though I can barely keep them alive, they're actually managing to do this thing, or at least half the time. You maybe even just, you know, lower chances of placing stuff, but
I really like that you played devil's advocate, Ragewood, because now that I think about it, I don't think I made an epic until I hit level 120.
Yeah.
Like, I just didn't bother.
This is a hilarious deja vu for me, because in our like internal, you know, private meetings and stuff, I literally said word for word what Ragewood said. I was like, hey, I wonder if players aren't using epics. I wonder if they're just going to go rares and then into legendaries, and that's never going to really happen. And then I also said the exact same thing that Raven said, and I was like, but maybe that's just because they're progressing way too fast and they're getting way too many legendaries within their first few days of play. Whereas in the live game, you know, in your first month, you might only get 2 or 3 legendaries, and then you're going to have
epics, yeah.
Yeah, so you're going to have more reason to explore the epics, and there'll be a lot more of them in the game. You know, we'll have 100 epics or whatever instead of like the 20 that you're seeing in alpha. So it's funny. I've already literally heard this exact conversation, but it's good to know that you guys are kind of feeling that same way, and we're kind of looking at already kind of listening to that.
Good.
Well, then I guess moving on from the awakening and the rarities, tmib, did you have something you wanted to bring up? Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that one of the things that I feel that kind of ties into this conversation is that there were certain levels where it really felt like you needed to build a specific epic in order to be able to get past the, I don't even know what to call it. I'm calling them hell levels. You know, like Achilles. Achilles was a superstar on 90. You just, if you didn't have good DPS prior to that, you threw him in and you just won. Like, and we want to make sure, I mean, I'm talking generically here, but I think we as a community want to make sure that there isn't situations where everybody is building the exact same hero, and if you don't have it, you don't progress. So having the power level as high as it was, it didn't offset that. That still occurred.
Yeah,
I mean, I didn't use any of the bosses there, so there is more than one way to do things.
But he is right. I mean, Achilles and the bleeds, they were
very strong. Yeah.
But I believe that's already being addressed. Like, we want it to be strong, but we don't want it to be like Achilles is, by 10 times the best epic. Like we don't want that. We want strong but not ridiculous. But I think it was bugged and not functioning properly. But I definitely used Achilles a lot. Yeah, to get and also I'd be curious to hear if I'm right on this. I'm gonna guess, maybe Ragewood, you have a good feel for this being in voice chats and stuff. I'm gonna guess stage 142 was a big sticking point. Am I right on that?
Yeah, for a lot of people it was. Yeah,
Yes.
even in my live streams and on my videos, yeah, that was a common one that came up. How do we beat it?
And is it because of the last wave where it's like Aphrodite and Heimdall and
Yeah,
Sphinx?
because it's the first time players come across the Awakened 5 Heimdall, I believe, where he's casting his shield before anyone takes a turn. So you've got that to deal with, and then Sphinx placing Vanished on everyone, so you can't target the Aphrodite and the Pangu. Yeah, that one was tough for a lot of people, and I think largely it was either a DPS check or they didn't bring control. Like the amount of times we told people to go level a Mordred to 40, just make him super fast so you can get some control out to give yourself time to get through that. At least that was a common suggestion that I made.
Well, is
Yeah,
that
for
also
sure.
the one with double ISIS on wave 2?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that was often even more of the gate than the boss, or at least it was for me, where the 2 ISIS would just get so many mins stacked up that couldn't deal with it until I figured out some way of getting rid of some of those buffs.
Yeah, yeah. I had the original experience that Ragewood was talking about, where I was getting stuck on the 3rd wave, and I had to kind of CC it with high speed, like with Pandora, Scotty, Mordred, some of these different options, and even like last night, even with like my stacked account, it was hard for me to farm that stage on auto, even with a stacked account. I could do it, but it took like 5 minutes to do a run, and the hard part was we put the like the speed set in 142. So if you wanted to farm like it was you're doing 5 minutes a run or whatever. But and then I don't think I've let you start since the beginning here, Ragewood. Did you have any other topic that was burning on you or suggestions or?
Not really, no. I mean, I've spoken about many things on sort of the podcasts that I've been on previously, and I'm just enjoying the experience and obviously giving any feedback that I have via the portal that you guys set up. So all of sort of like my thoughts I've either discussed previously, discussed now, kind of thing. So I don't really have anything to add myself. I'm happy just bouncing off what everyone else says.
And if anybody's wondering, I have to drag Neo in here because he bothers me. He knows when I'm in a video, and he'll sit here and bother me until I bring him close because he's gotta be on camera too. So
Yeah.
he grew up with a dad who's a content creator, so he gets it. Well, how about you, Raven? Did you have any other topics or suggestions or things that kind of came up that you wanted to bounce around?
One of the fun things this time was once y'all opened it up for everybody, I let my 3 of my kids play it. They're like 6, 9, and 10. Figure it's not multiplayer yet, really. So, it was really fun seeing what they did. They got older 2 got just a little past 90. Younger one got stuck on 60, but it was fun seeing them play it. But one of the things that I wondered if y'all had played around with, because they asked about it, and I was like, well, I don't know, was have y'all played around with the idea of letting imprints be used for starring up your heroes also?
Oh, you mean like
Like you
awakening?
get the spirit,
Like use
well,
an imprint to awaken?
well, you
And,
can do
I
that.
think it means
and
for
that's awesome.
ascending.
But like, yeah, for ascend or not ascending is the
The
next thing.
stars?
Yeah, the stars.
I got you.
Sorry,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
as a substitute for spirits. Like could we use Dagonets in place of a 3-star Dagonet imprints in place of 3-star spirits? Like, or do those currencies sort of need to be kept separate for balancing stuff?
Right now,
we got tons of overflows of them, and it's like, okay, I'm overflowing and getting imprints. I should have turned those into spirits so that I could awaken, or not awaken. I can do that, but I can. What do you call it when you start it up? Like, go to the next stars.
ascending. Ascending?
Just ranking up? Is that what you mean?
Ranking up, yeah. Well,
Oh, you mean like being able to go from level 10 to level 20, level 20 to level
Right.
30. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, ranking up. Yeah.
I think the button says upgrade on it, and then to confirm it, it says something else like rank up.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know what you mean though. I think right now, we'd have to talk to the economy team and stuff like that. But I believe right now the plan is to keep those things separate. And when you're playing the live game, it's going to be a lot different experience. This is more of like a PTR where you're not going to be like flooded with tons of stuff, because in this environment we want people to be able to build up fast and be able to test stuff. But in the live game, it's going to be a lot more of like a long-term management efficiency type thing where we'll monitor it. It's a good shout. And possibly we could adjust that if needed, but I don't think you're going to be like swimming in endless imprints and upgrades and stuff. So hopefully that won't be a struggle.
Can you say anything on whether the current like way of extracting spirits is? Do you expect to keep that system where, like, uncommons always give 2-star spirits, rares
Probably.
give 3-star?
Probably. You would like it to function a different way. Like you'd want to be able to crunch rares into 1, 2, or 3, or what were you thinking?
The only thing is if I've like ranked up a uncommon to 3-star, it'd be nice if it gave me a 3-star.
I understand. Okay, I understand. Yeah, that's a good shout out. Yeah, I'll forward that. That's something we could consider. So you're saying, oh, I used an uncommon for a little bit. I got him all the way to level 40. He's 4-star. Now, if I crunch him, I shouldn't get a 2-star spirit. I should get a 4-star.
Right, just another
Okay.
way of farming,
Gotcha.
4-star spirits or something instead of right now. You got to keep them as heroes if you want
I
to
see.
use them as food.
Okay. Yeah, that's possible. I can't guarantee it, but we'll throw that around the economy room and see if we can pull it off or something. I think that's good feedback. How about you, tmib? Did you have anything else you wanted to kind of bounce around?
Well, playing off of that, I think it would be neat if we could actually have our spirits combined in order to make larger spirits. Like, it doesn't have to be like, 1 for 1, but I had so many 3-star spirits. Be able to convert those into 4-star spirits using, some sort of conversion system would have been fantastic. I would have had more than I think 12 levels, 6 stars. So, that's I think that would be neat. The one thing that I think stuck out to me the most is I really focused on weapon drops this wave. And shout out to one of the Discord mods, Zavarok, who helped me compile a list of drop data. We did at least 100 runs on every floor, like level 58 and higher. And we noticed that there was a pattern that everything seemed to follow. It was 4 legendary, 3 epics, and 3 rares. Well, that is all except for 2 of the levels, which is 108 and 128. So my question, I guess, is why would these stages have less than the others? Is it for future, weapon drops that weren't ready for the alpha, or is it a bug?
I don't know if the goal was to have them all be exactly the same, and we're actually working on getting that more tangibly out to the players before Alpha 3. Like, we want to kind of provide players with a list of like, hey, these are the weapons that drop on each number 8 stage, instead of having it be so ambiguous where players are like, wait, what weapon drops where how do I farm it? So that is something on our list, is looking at that and trying to kind of unify that and then let players know some more accurate information. And I don't know, I didn't design the drops for the floors. So I can't speak to the exact intention there. I know in general they were trying to have a couple rares, a couple epics, a couple legendaries for like each stage 8. But if it was off by 1 or so on each stage, I wouldn't know 100% for sure if it was intentional or just that way. But it is being addressed for Alpha 3, and you're gonna know, or at least the goal is to let you know exactly what's going on for each stage.
We as players have made a drop table of what weapons drop where, etc. And that was one of the things that Zavarok and I spent so much time collecting the data for, was to make that table, and we put it in Discord. I don't know if it ever got pinned, but
it did.
I'm gonna
himself
keep
pinned
updated.
it.
Yeah,
Okay.
good.
Yep.
I plan on putting it on my webpage as well, for this before Wave 3 starts, just so people have another resource to go look. My webpage is not nearly as good as some of the others in this channel, but kudos to you guys.
Hey,
So
we
the
love
other,
that. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Community resources. And that's kind of like the push and the pull is like we wonder like, we don't want to give them everything because we want the community to have fun working together, but we also don't want to like not be transparent and like hide stuff. So that's the push and the pull of giving the community room to grow and build and research, but also providing you with the information that you should have. But yeah, we think that's great. You compiling resources like that, and thanks for testing that and putting that together for people.
Yeah.
And I think I interrupted you. Did you have something else you wanted to say, tmib? I think you were kind of like starting.
So I do actually. So I happen to really, really enjoy things like Dungeons and Dragons. Those are type of games that I've played my entire life. And so because of that, I know a fairly good amount about some of the pantheons, some of the ones that you've used in this game. And there are some weapons or items that I feel like are very iconic to specific characters. And the first example that off the top of my head would be Mjolnir with Thor. It's his hammer, right? So I was wondering if there was going to be any sort of consideration to have a thematically appropriate weapon kind of for each character that would be considered like the best in slot for that hero.
Yeah, that's something we've talked about a lot. And I think there is a plan. I'm not sure if it's 100% confirmed, but I think there is a plan to have some sort of bonus or incentive. If you do something like equip Mjolnir on Thor. The difficult part design wise is it's super cool to do that, but we also don't want to really like pigeonhole players into like I have to get this for this hero and that's best in slot. And I have to get this for this hero. Like we kind of want people to be able to mix and match and theory craft and try things. And that's the push and the pull of it and the double-edged sword is because some of those synergies can be super cool, but we don't want to feel like we're forcing it. We kind of want you to wonder about what weapon to use on Thor. But we also want it to be cool if Thor uses Mjolnir. So that's the hard part that we're trying to figure out as a design team.
I mean, aren't you, you're kind of already going that way, right? World Splitter is the axe that Pangu has. It gives stats everywhere. Pangu is a stat, hungry monster. So there is obviously an element of that, and I think the attunement will also help with that as well. I'm
I
pretty
think
sure.
that's kind of the plan. And
Yeah.
you're right. We do, just like the weapon that's designed for Raw, it's going to work around Blaze. Like we do kind of try to make it softly work around their skill set and accentuating that. But as far as like extra bonuses, yeah, there'll probably be something with the attunement. And we'll have some way to kind of lean into that where you'll want those special weapons for the special legendaries if you can get your hands on them without forcing it too much to where it's like, oh, well, if I have, Thor, I have to use Mjolnir. There's just no other option. So yeah, we'll try to find that balance for sure. Good, cool. Awesome. Well, I know we're kind of it's gone fast. I know we're approaching the end time here. So are there any burning questions? I think tmib, you had a couple that you wanted to get in there. Are there any burning topics or something to bring up?
Well, a couple of them kind of came up along the conversation, but I really like strategy in combat. And the reason I bring that up is because I think that being able to interrupt by using your ultimates is a fantastic step in the right direction to, well, honestly, raid got very boring very quickly because it's just I autoed everything. And I don't want to see this game do that. I think it would be really neat if there was a strategy role encounter, or I don't know, it could be an event dungeon type of thing where you don't know what the map looks like and you have, okay, you come into this room, you do the encounter. Maybe there's something in the encounter that is in the environment that will help you with that encounter. Like you can move your characters to be behind the wall or before the dragon breathes, etc., but not like on a super huge level. Maybe it only reduces the damage by a certain amount. I think that would help make it feel a lot more dynamic. And then you've finished that dungeon battle, and now you've got 2 doors. Which one do you choose? Well, if you take the left door, you go to encounter 3. If you take the right door, you go to encounter 4. And you could very easily seed the encounters based on some sort of random thing ahead of time, so the players just don't know what it's going to be. And so it's a unique experience every time going through the dungeon, instead of having it be this thing, the same type of thing all of the time.
Yeah, 100%. We're probably gonna try to, I don't know if it'll be there by launch and all that, but we do want at some point to have some sort of like roguelike way to kind of do a run, like Hearthstone Arena. Like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna get. I don't know what I'm gonna face. I'm just doing a run for 30 minutes to an hour, and I'm gonna kind of get rewards based on how well I do. And we do want some sort of system like that, ideally at some point if we can pull it off. So yeah, that's great feedback.
I think you've done a really good job of somewhat like that with this tower, just the way that,
Yeah.
of course, you can farm drops, but if you made them a little more scarce, you kind of get that effect of, every playthrough is a different journey. There's not quite the, you can be almost reckless with your resources, just like trying to cram everything in. It's been a really, really fun.
Yeah, thanks. So we're thinking about, originally the tower was just, or the caverns was just kind of a way to get through the alpha and give people an experience and something we could kind of throw together. But yeah, it has been received well. So we may do the caverns as like a seasonal event where it's like, hey, try to get to the highest floor that you can, or in our case, the lowest floor that you can before the end of the weekend, and you get rewards based on the floor you're able to get to. So yeah, we might bring it back for live ops events, or try to squeeze it into the game for sure, because it's been going well so far and people are enjoying the caverns.
It makes sense. You've built the infrastructure, right? It would be a shame to see it go. And this is something I've talked about with a few different people. You can change it so it's, and I guess this is where you're sort of getting into the roguelike part, right? Where you go, right, only Asgard heroes are available. How far can you go? Next month, only a Mayakan. How far can you go? Etc. Etc.
And even for like, clan versus clan, we can present the tower, and the 2 clans, they go after it for 2 days and see who can kind of climb the tower the best, or the most efficient,
Yep.
or whatever. So yeah, there's all sorts of ways we could kind of implement that.
Yeah, I
Well,
even like this. Oh, sorry.
no, you're
The,
no, I was gonna
the
say,
sort
well,
of
does anybody have anything else?
the sandbox mode whereas like within this mode, like, maybe some of the heroes aren't as you can get your hand on them. They're not actually added to your account. You just have them in that mode.
Oh,
I think you could
I
do
like
pretty
that.
fun events, if you had something like this Tower Caverns, where, people get to try out some heroes and stuff that they maybe, it might be years before they get them on their, for general content, but they can play through that and find ways. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, 100%. We've discussed that for sure. Yep, for ways to kind of be more giving, because it's a temporary mode, and just let people get a bunch of stuff and play around with things they don't have, and have it be a separate roguelike type of experience for a certain event. So 100%. Yep. Cool. Well, did we get to everybody's burning questions? Are we good here? Or okay? I don't like to cut anybody
I,
off or
I,
anything.
I kind of got one more.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
It was so one of the things I did in Discord is I said, "Hey, if you guys could ask the devs any one question, what would you ask?" So a bunch of people responded, right? So of course, I copied them into like a notepad so I could have some of them sitting here. One of the ones that kind of stuck out to me, I feel I had a very similar experience, is that a lot of the combat feels very much one-shot-ish. So once you get to a certain point, like, you have Zeus and Shamash and, Herc and, anybody else, and you're just clearing all the waves with one shot before they ever get to take a turn. And when you get to the higher areas, if you don't have good enough gear, you start getting one shot back. And the balance between that feels a little skewed. I was wondering if there was going to be some sort of way, or I was wondering what your plan was to create a happy medium where both strategies, are kind of viable, where, sometimes, yes, you will one shot them. Other times it's going to be a little bit more drawn out, and, you have to plan how you're going to use your skills a little bit better.
Yep, 100%. We're having that same conversation. Yep, and there are a few heroes that will have maybe some multiplier adjustments for Alpha 3, and there may be some other changes that kind of change that and make it a little bit different as well. Because also one thing we've seen in the game is maybe like some of the AoE basics hit a little bit too hard, and makes them a little bit too OP, and we see that with
Oh,
like
man.
Herc and Sphinx. And it causes things like joint attack with Shamash and some of these AoE basics. Like one of the more popular pairings. I'm guessing, I haven't seen data on this, but I'm gonna guess that one of the more popular pairings in this alpha was Shamash and Sphinx, and and just kind of running in there and
And add
doing a bunch of
Hercules in there too, and
yeah.
you get the double.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like an Aphrodite or yeah.
Yep. So yeah, 100%. So good input from your Discord, and that's something on our radar, definitely. Cool. And you said you had a bunch. I can let you do one more if you want. Did you get to them all?
So I think the last thing I want to mention is that, so I like looking at things through the filter of, what's my pain point, right? So like you go through, you play, and you do all of these things like, all right, so what part of this experience wasn't where I would like it to be? And a lot of them I think have been already brought up in this video or other videos. But the one that I haven't heard addressed yet is when you're upgrading weapons on the weapon screen and you're like, oh, gee, I have 10 of these things.
I already know. I've already brought this up. Yep. Go ahead. I think it's gonna, let me see if I can guess. It's gonna be, I can't see what weapon I'm crunching, so I don't even know if it's good or not if I want to crunch it. Yep.
So
Yeah,
I mean, there's viable workarounds, right? Like you go in and you level one up by one level, so that way you don't pick the level 2 one, or you put in if it's cheaper, you put an imprint on it that you don't care about. But like, yeah, you're absolutely right. It's not being able to see the secondary stat makes it very difficult to. Well, I had to find workarounds, so that was one of my biggest pain points, I think.
Yep. Because I was doing the same thing. If I found a good weapon, I'd go equip it on somebody. That way I know I can't see it in the screen. So yeah, that will definitely be addressed. Unfortunately, I don't know if the UI can be redone to the point where it's addressed in Alpha 3. So that's a little bit unfortunate. I don't think we have enough time with how fast we want to go on these alpha iterations. But that will definitely not be a thing in the live game. You'll be able to see what you're crunching and not have to work around that. So that's really good feedback though. But on the way out, I know we got 2 of you here on the Fateless channel for the first time. So there is a question we'd like to ask, and Raven, we'll start with you. Is there a hero or mythology or anything that kind of makes sense within the Godforge ethos that you haven't seen yet that you wish was in the game? Do you have like a favorite type of? Oh, you do. Okay, you're ready.
Yeah. Well, I've been saving this up for years, so.
There you go. Okay.
So, I actually asked my kids too. Can I give theirs?
Absolutely.
So my 10-year-old who wanted Thorin from The Hobbit. So if you are ever able to make a Middle Earth realm, I know everybody up that. But he also said, and he knows nothing about any of this conversations that have been going on, but his second pick was Robin Hood.
Hey, I love it. There we go. And you're talking about Thorin Oakenshield?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're speaking Paul's language. He's gonna listen to this and get all excited. So I'm sure Paul will be pushing for all sorts of heroes like that. But yeah, love those.
And my other son was said Odysseus from the Iliad, and then mine would be Merlin. I know he's coming. So one that I haven't seen yet would be William Wallace. Yeah, with a huge claymore.
Yeah, great answers. Love all of those. Most of those that you said will probably be in Godforge at some point. If you haven't seen them yet, for sure with like live ops, and obviously there's some epic ones like Merlin that would just fit in perfectly and will probably make their way into Godforge at some point, I would assume, for sure. But yeah, love those answers. Good job. Okay, tmib, you got any over there?
Oh, wow. So most of the ones that I thought of while playing and talking in Discord with people were more boss level, like not player character ones. So
Yeah, cool.
I'm gonna kind of cross those right off the list, other than Cerberus, because you just need to have Cerberus at some point. But as far as pantheons go, I mean, you guys already added my favorite, which is the Egyptian pantheon. So
Awesome. Okay, well, who's your favorite in the Aru pantheon then?
oh, that's a really tough.
It could be someone that's already in.
decision.
Do you have a favorite that's already in?
So I really like Anubis.
Okay, cool. Well, then we've already ticked your boxes. We're good to go with you then.
You totally have. I was thrilled to find out that hello kitten. I was thrilled to find out that the Egyptian mythology was already going to be in there. So
Heck yeah. And Ragewood, do you want to remind people who you said when you were asked if they're curious?
Oh, so when I was asked, I had a couple. I said Veles, who was the opposite of Perun in the Slavic mythaction, and Tezcatlipoca from the sort of the black jaguar god of like obsidian and things. Those are my two.
Heck yeah.
I-
Okay. Cool.
I will say
think
when
I think-
y'all first announced that it was going to be on this like gods, myths, and legends and stuff, I think I greatly underestimated how powerful that could be because people already have sort of this connection to tons of your characters that whereas in some other games character comes out, it's up to them to make you connected to that. Whereas this, there's already like kind of a built-in connection through the mythology and stuff that makes it like exciting to get different characters. So
Yeah,
the
yeah.
lore depth.
I'm super excited about how it all worked out. In terms of the and you haven't even seen the majority of like how the world is going to shape out. We've got an amazing narrative team that's just working around the clock to bring an epic world to life and have awesome live ops events and stuff and tie that all in. So I'm excited to see that all play out once the game's actually out. But guys, this has been a lot of fun. Thanks for taking the time to join us, and we'll have all the links down below if you want to check out their content, and then also if you want to pop into the Discord and experience the alpha and give your feedback and let us know kind of your thoughts as well down below. So cheers, guys. It's been a lot of fun. We'll see you soon in the next Fateless podcast episode. Later.